we're going to move on to our next talk now, which is Dr. Michael Murray. He is the Chief Science Advisor for IHERB, and he's presenting Gut Microbiome Diversity, the Missing Link in Healthy Aging. And I want to thank TriNutra for sponsoring this session. And welcome, Dr. Murray. I will turn our virtual stage over to you.
Very good. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to helping people understand the importance of having a very diverse microbiome. Maggie, can you see my slides okay?
They look perfect.
All right, great. Well, what I'm going to talk about to set the stage for the solution that I'm going to focus on today, which is ThymoQuin, a black seed oil uh, product that is the gold standard in this area, is what is cortisol and why stress and cortisol is associated with our health and our ability to basically live longer. And specifically, I'm going to be talking about the effects of excess cortisol. Everyone is familiar to some degree of what cortisol is. It's part of our body's ability to help us deal with stress. And there are many benefits of cortisol. It's being a bit demonized right now, but like all hormones, the key thing is to have it in the right balance. And for many people, what's happening is their cortisol is too high, and excess cortisol is associated with a lot of negative effects. It has a strong link to depression, anxiety, insomnia. It's linked to reduced insulin sensitivity, and that means we have an increased risk for obesity and type 2 diabetes and the accumulation of visceral fat. And cortisol also breaks down collagen, so we see muscle loss, bone loss accelerated with excess cortisol because of the effects on the metabolic system. We see increased risk of high blood pressure and heart disease, many forms of cancer, significantly detrimental effects on our brain and our immune system. So we want to get cortisol under control. And many of these adverse effects of cortisol are mediated by the impact of cortisol on the microbiome. Now, if we look at the gut microbiome and longevity, the most important feature associated with longevity is the diversity of the microbiome, the variety and relative abundance of different types of microorganisms. We focus a lot on bacteria, but fungi, viruses, phages, they're all important within this microbiome community. Longevity is associated with a broad range of species that provide what's called functional redundancy. And what this translates to is that we become more resilient to stress and aging if we have this microbiome diversity. Higher diversity also correlates with lower systemic inflammation, better metabolic health, and healthier aging. If you have elevations of cortisol on a chronic basis, you have reduced microbiome diversity. So that means you're going to get more inflammation, poor metabolic health, and accelerated aging. So why is microbiome diversity the key? Well, a more diverse gut microbiome is associated with many health benefits. Some of these are related to some metabolites. For example, short chain fatty acids, butyrate's getting a lot of attention right now. It is a key short chain fatty acid for the health of our microbiome, but others are important as well. A more diverse gut microbiome is associated with a stronger gut barrier. So you reduce the absorption of compounds that shouldn't be in our systemic circulation. We get better immune function with more diversity in our microbiome, and there's protection against pathogens. Uh, this is really important these days. There's a lot of focus on probiotics, but I think in the future, what we're really going to be focusing on is the terrain, and what we're going to get to is ways to improve that terrain here shortly. With the increased microbiome diversity, we're going to get enhanced metabolic flexibility. Our metabolism is just going to work better. We're also going to get better brain function. This connection between the gut and the brain is getting a lot of attention these days for good reason. With greater diversity, we get better mood function and we get protection against neurodegeneration. Overall, microbiome diversity is linked to increased resilience to stress, illness, antibiotics, and aging. These are all the things that happen when we have low microbiome diversity. So all the good things that I talked about, those are lost. And what we see with low diversity is all the conditions that are at epidemic proportions. So um, low microbiome diversity is the key factor. And, the way that we're trying to approach that right now, in most cases, with the use of probiotics in particular, is really, it's not going to get the job done. It really isn't. We need an approach that's going to kind of reset that terrain and allow for healthy organisms to grow, not just a limited few, but the thousands of different types of organisms that we need in that healthy microbiome need to be able to flourish. When that happens, then we're protected against the ones that we don't want in there. So what are the keys to this longevity microbiome? Well, these are the things that I've been talking about. Number one, that high diversity, and that creates all the things that you see next. You see higher levels of short chain fatty acids, particularly butyrate. You see enriched levels of beneficial organisms. I'll be talking about some of these in just a minute, but particularly Akkermansia. But there are others as well, various anaerobic bacteria, bifidobacteria, and you also see reduced pathogens in less friendly species. These are called pathobionts. These are organisms that we really don't want there. They're not going to cause much disease, but they're not promoting health either, and they have the potential to lead to disease, but uh, they're generally not thought of as being pathogens. We see with a healthy longevity, enhanced metabolic output of key longevity promoting compounds. Urolithin A is getting a lot of attention right now, but uh, these polyphenols, flavonoids in particular, that are especially those that are poorly absorbed. We know that having the right type of gut bacteria is critical for the anti-aging effects of many superfoods. And this is due to how having the right gut bacteria can lead to proper metabolism and the formation of compounds that exert phenomenal health promoting effects. And we also know that having a longevity microbiome leads to significant reduced levels of gut-derived toxins and the absorption of inflammatory compounds. These are all the things that have been documented for elevated cortisol on the gut microbiome. So all the things that I'm talking about, cortisol is really uh, pouring fire onto the situation. A lot of the issues that we have with decreased microbiome diversity are related to our diet and lifestyle. But stress and elevated cortisol is like, throwing gasoline on that fire. So all the negative effects that we see with elevated cortisol have to be addressed if we want to have a healthy microbiome and if we want to be healthier and live longer. So, in regards to longevity specifically, these are the key things that happen with cortisol disruption of the gut microbiome. First, we get this inflammaging. We get chronic inflammation, and that leads to metabolic dysfunction, insulin resistance, where you start absorbing gut-derived compounds that are toxic to our system at much higher levels, endotoxins in particular. That leads to impaired liver function, leads to impaired mitochondrial function, increased oxidative stress. Cortisol on its own is associated with sarcopenia, the loss of muscle mass, but there's also a gut microbiome play here as well. And as I've highlighted before, this gut-brain axis is severely disrupted uh, with cortisol, not only through direct effects caused by cortisol, but also indirectly through its effects on this gut-brain axis due to its detrimental effects on our gut microbiome. So we want to get cortisol under control. If we do that, we're going to live longer and be healthier. And to help you improve cortisol levels, I want to talk about ThymoQuin. It's the premium black seed oil. It's the only black seed oil that meets the USP monograph. It's different, and I'll go through this. In human clinical studies, ThymoQuin has been shown to lower cortisol levels by up to 44%. There's nothing else in the natural arena that can have this sort of cortisol reducing effects. Some of this effect is related to the influence that ThymoQuin has on our gut microbiome. It does exactly what we want. It improves the microbiome diversity, and that helps us deal with stress more effectively. It provides a healthier gut-brain axis, and it improves our immune function. So I'm going to quickly explain what ThymoQuin is and why it's special in the black seed oil market and how it's able to produce these effects. First, uh, ThymoQuin is produced from non-GMO black cumin seeds. These were bred naturally to provide a higher thymoquinone content. But that's not all. The product is not an extract. It's a cold pressed oil, and it's standardized to have 3% thymoquinone. This is a critical component of black seed oil, but it's not the only critical component. One of the most important aspects of black seed oil pharmacology is the level of free fatty acids. And in ThymoQuin, that level is kept below 1.25%. Studies have shown that when that free fatty acid level gets up, the pharmacological activity of black seed oil declines. The free fatty acids can oxidize, they can interfere with the actions of some of the active components. If we look at the pharmacology of ThymoQuin, it is a true cure-all. Black seed oil was mentioned in the Bible more than any other medicinal plant, and this historic traditional medicine may offer the greatest impact on many of the health conditions that are affecting people in the 21st century. It is really quite remarkable. This slide is showing you all the different targets, metabolic targets, biochemical targets that have been shown to be hit with black seed oil. And again, it's not just the thymoquinone, it's a variety of compounds. And the preclinical work has been substantiated with clinical studies. And I believe that black seed oil is really poised to be the most popular adaptogen out there. And there's several reasons why I feel that's the case. You know, an adaptogen helps improve our ability to deal with stress, but it also is able to impact positively many areas of our body systems. And if we compare ThymoQuin to ashwagandha, uh, when we look specifically at cortisol levels, it significantly outperforms. And I took the best study with ashwagandha. And the best study with ashwagandha, this was a study that used KSM 66, 600 milligrams per day, standard dose, 60 days, 33% reduction. A dosage of 500 milligrams of ThymoQuin for 28 days produced a 44% improvement. And there are other beneficial effects beyond cortisol in regards to metabolic health. And that's because it's not just the thymoquinone that's important. Thymoquin is full spectrum. Remember, it's not an extract. It's a cold pressed oil that's standardized not only for the thymoquinone, but also for all these other natural compounds that provide an entourage effect that support the overall activity of this wonderful natural plant medicine. So you can see if we look at the spectrum of compounds that are contained within thymoquin, these are very unique compounds. They tend to be very active. You know, seeds and nuts are concentrated sources of many phytochemicals. And these phytochemicals in thymoquin, generally they have volatility to them. And typically volatile compounds exert significant impacts on the gut microbiome. You know, I read a lot of research, not just medical research, and some of the research that's happening in animal feed is really interesting because they're looking at the influence of various volatile compounds from plants, and the impacts that these compounds have on the microbiome are quite significant. Now, there have been studies with thymoquin looking at the influence it has on some microbiome aspects. And again, what we know with the thymoquin is that it's different than other black seed oil products out there. As I said earlier, it's the only one that can meet all the USP monograph standards for strength, purity, and quality. And as a result, it's going to produce different results. And if we can compare it to others that are out there, there's no real comparison. And one of the key aspects is bioavailability. The uh, Thymoquin utilizes a proprietary sunflower proprietary blend that this allows for significant improvement in bioavailability. In regards to our main topic, there have been some studies looking at the influence of thymoquin on microbial populations. I don't have the slide here on its influence on Klebsiella, which is a pathogen, but it reduces Klebsiella concentrations. These other organisms that I have here, Lactobacillus plantarum, Streptococcus thermophilus, Faecalibacterium prausnitzii, and Akkermansia muciniphila, these are all health promoting bacteria. Akkermansia is getting a lot of focus right now. And the charts are kind of difficult to interpret so let me help you. The concentration of thymoquin after you take a dosage is probably in that mid range that you see there, the 0.01% to the 0.0635%. So those are the two main bars that you want to be looking at. And what we see here with the the ThymoQuin is that it has a significant impact in improving the growth of these health promoting bacteria. This is significant. If we can improve the level of Akkermansia, for example, we get better gut barrier function, we get reduced endotoxin absorption, and we get better metabolic health. Akkermansia is being promoted a lot out there. There are things that we can do through diet and through other supplementation that can improve the body's ability to host this important organism. Now, does all this in vitro work, is it supported with human outcomes? Absolutely. We have human studies showing superior microbiome diversity with thymoquin supplementation. We get improved resistance to stress. We see a 44% reduction in cortisol levels, and we see some preliminary evidence that suggests improvement in mood and cognition. This was all shown in one study in particular, looking at really high stress individuals, people that are going through the stress of training for a marathon or a half marathon. And what the study showed was that ThymoQuin improved microbiome composition, improved diversity. It reduced upper respiratory complaints, so it had a significant immune potentiating effect. And as I've said several times, it had an ability to lower cortisol, and that led to improvements in mood. And these are all things that we want. Uh, Here is my summary. I hope I've made a strong case that ThymoQuin is a true adaptogen. It promotes health through many different mechanisms. One of the key mechanisms is through improved microbiome diversity. And much of this is related to its influence not only directly on the gastrointestinal environment, but also through reducing cortisol levels. I think in the future, what we're going to see with microbiome research are the type of studies that really reinforce the importance of supporting microbiome diversity. In regards to ThymoQuin, I think what you're going to see in the future with ThymoQuin is the next focus of research, which will be on mitochondrial health. The key people at TriNutra, uh, and these are really smart people, Morris and his team, they believe that the greatest benefit produced by ThymoQuin is its effect on mitochondrial health. So that's going to be the next area of focus. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope I still have time for some answers to your questions.
Yes, excellent. We do have some time. We have about 5 minutes left. So please do post any questions that you have for Dr. Murray into the Q&A panel, and we will get through those. We did have one question come in already, which is asking if there's a difference between taking black seed oil in oil form versus taking it in soft gel or capsule form.
Yeah, I think there's a huge difference. Uh, uh, what I would tell people to experiment with is take a bite of a soft gel with a Thymoquin. You cannot put that in a liquid form. It's just too strong. And again, this is not an extract. This is not a concentrate. This is a cold pressed oil. So that's what true beneficial black seed oil would be like. And it's too strong. It's too irritating for to put it in a liquid form, in my opinion. I don't think you'd get consumer compliance. So um, the products that are in liquid form, they're very high in free fatty acids. It's not the medicinal form of black seed oil, and that's going to provide the greatest benefits. There's reasons why this USP monograph was produced, and as I've said, right now, as far as I know, Thymoquin is the only form of black seed oil that meets that criteria.
I was looking at the FAQs on the website, and one that came up that it's maybe one that the company gets a lot, but about cooking with it. So maybe you can address that since it is a common question.
Yeah, you don't want to be cooking with with black seed oil. It's just it's really strong. Even in the soft gel, you can just swallowing it, you can feel it. It's just it's going to be it's not going to be a good culinary oil at all.
All right. Looking at microbiome diversity, I mean, you talked about how there's going to be an increased focus on this. So looking ahead 3 to 5 years, can you talk about, what you see in terms of the focus on it, increasing in terms of our practitioners seeing this as something that we need to focus on?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big thing, and you know, lactic acid bacteria have been kind of the mainstay of our interventions, and we're starting to see more important and more relevant probiotics enter the marketplace. I've coined this term rebiotic. I haven't seen anybody else use this term, but you can imagine your microbiome is a little bit like an Amazonian forest, and there's just not any space there for seeds to take hold. So we need to be introducing approaches that are going to help kind of rototill up that soil to allow the seeding of health promoting bacteria. And I think our list of health promoting bacteria is going to be increased dramatically over the next few years, as is the focus on postbiotics more so than live bacteria. We're seeing in the case of Akkermansia, for example, the heat-killed or pasteurized bacteria was more effective than the live bacteria. So there's a lot going on, and it's really the one of the new frontiers. There's so much going on in our industry, and that's one thing that I really love about our industry. It's very dynamic. I'm still learning things every day. We're discovering new things and new ways to improve our health. And, it always comes back to some of the basics. And one of the key things about having a microbiome that's diverse is having a diet that is diverse. And most people are eating the same foods day in and day out. And even if they're healthy, that's not going to create the same degree of diversity as is eating healthfully and also eating a wide variety of different foods. And one of the best ways to get more diversity and more influence on your gut microbiome is through herbs and spices. Again, these are highly concentrated in phytochemicals that exert significant effects on our microbiome. And I think Nigella sativa, black seed, ThymoQuin, it's just a great example of how we can influence the microbiome through using a superfood.
Excellent. Another question came in that's about how it works. Is it fair to say that the reduction in cortisol levels helps improve microbiome diversity, or does thymoquine have a dual purpose mechanism of action, reducing cortisol levels and increasing the proliferation of good bacteria?
Yeah, it's the chicken and egg argument. Do we see the improvements in cortisol due to the influence on the microbiome and the influence on the microbiome due to some influence on reducing cortisol? I think they're two separate things. It is a pleiotropic compound. Thymoquin is a pleiotropic agent. And what that means is it has many sites of action and it has some effects directly on lowering cortisol. But if you look historically at this plant, it's primarily been used in digestive disorders. So it also has significant direct impact on gut function, and not just influencing the microbiome, but influencing many aspects of gut function, and that leads to, for example, improvement in GLP-1 secretion. So We see the metabolic effects of ThymoQuin, lowering cholesterol, improving insulin sensitivity, maybe helping with improving appetite control, these sorts of things that are related to possibly through GLP-1 or possibly through influencing a healthier microbiome composition. And there's other aspects that also impact. So it has so many different sites of action. Uh, yeah, we could talk for days about how this all might this big puzzle of pharmacology of thymoquine and how it might be helpful in improving health in the 21st century.
Excellent. Well, exciting things to come. You referenced new research, so we'll stay tuned for that when that's available. And that does about wrap our time for today. So I just want to thank you, Dr. Murray, for getting us up to speed on all things microbiome diversity. Thank you.
Well, Maggie, you're doing a great job. Thanks for putting this together with your team, and good luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you.